Let's watch this video together.
The American empire will collapse in the next 5 to 10 years because it is overstretched, too much debt, too much corruption, too much inequality. It's in too much debt, and it is really angering the entire world. It's basically unifying the entire world against it right now. Say empires last around 200 years. And so we are now in the twilight of the American empire. And the other thing that we know is you can't actually stop the decline of empires. So Oswald Spengler, who is a German theoretician, he argues that we are human beings and we have natural life cycles because we're organisms. Well, societies are the same way, where empires, they will be born, they'll rise, and they'll die. And it's a good thing because that's what allows for constant human innovation.
No one today trusts America. You talk to the leaders in Europe, not one of them trusts America. You go to the Middle East, not one of the leaders that I've met a number of them, trust America. The only one who trusts America was a military intelligence chief of Israel. And I said, you're the only one in the world that trusts America. And his answer is, I have no choice. That means he knows that he doesn't trust America.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sad thing. I mean, speaking as an American, it really hurts me to see that happen. I think the world is going to be a really messy place when that is the case.
The question isn't whether American power will decline. It's how violent that decline will be and who is going to suffer the most during the transition. What you're seeing as policy failures are actually strategies for decline, managing decline, while preserving elite wealth, while preserving elite advantage. And the looting is intensifying because the window is closing. The police state is being built precisely because they're trying to preempt any resistance. Trump's administration isn't incompetent. Don't tell yourself that. They're not fools. They're executing a specific strategy of asset transfer and fortification. While you're outraged about ICE raids, the actual wealth of your country is being systematically transferred in terms of your assets, being systematically transferred to Gulf sovereign wealth funds, to Chinese investors, and to American oligarchs who themselves are positioning themselves for the post-dollar world, for the post-American world order.
It is my firm belief that the United States of America is crumbling from the inside out because white America refuses to confront its anti-black racism.
I feel like the three empires falling, and they're falling fast. The three empires who go around the world, steal, colonize, rape, murder, they're falling. Their time is numbered. The French, the English, and America, their time is numbered. And I feel like they're falling. They're falling. The Queen was the first domino effect. That devil, she was the first domino effect. And after that is the Pope, another domino effect.
All right, guys. So America is actually raging right now, because they believe that it's going to be collapsing in some few years. And I actually believe that, whatever is going on in America right now, it also can be in the fact that, European leaders are trying to frustrate the work of Donald Trump. There's a lot towards this, where everybody is against Donald Trump at this point. And, the white folks are coming out to actually say one or two concerning this. And I'll be right back immediately after this video to tell you my commentary concerning some of these things. Of course, like I said, they believe they are going to be falling soon. It's going to collapse. Why? Because of some of the things that's ongoing, which I will be playing for you in the video. But I really believe that there's a lot in this, just beyond what you're going to be listening to. And don't forget, if this is the first time to the channel, hit the subscribe button, subscribe, like today's video. And I'm still your host, Josh.
Yeah, why would Norway or any other country trust us? We have a circus in the White House. We don't even know who's in charge. Like, we understand that Trump is president, but is he? How much power does Elon Musk have? What is he actually in control of? What does Doge actually do? We just aligned with Russia. We're on the same side as North Korea. We have pushed away our biggest allies. We are now hated in Canada, let alone countries all over the world. My only hope is that people recognize that millions and millions of us did not vote for this. We are not in support of what is going on right now in the White House. It terrifies us, and we are scrambling to work on fixing this.
So I'm starting to notice that more and more Americans are starting to come to the conclusion that America is not the hero, but in fact the villain. That America is one of the biggest bullies to ever set foot in society and civilization. That America it ain't shit, to be honest. Quite frankly, America is horrible. No. In all honesty, how many international leaders has the United States CIA overthrown, captured, held captive, tortured, sent into exile, executed, all in the name of greed? All in the name of greed, or just because? Just because you're doing something that I don't want you to do. Hell, currently right now in New York City, we have an international leader that was abducted and is now being held captive by President Donald Trump, the president of Venezuela, President Maduro. Literally in New York City prison right now. Why, you may ask? All because President Maduro wanted to eliminate, and he actually started accelerating the plans to eliminate Venezuelan oil sales being done using United States dollars. That's why. Libyan leader Gaddafi, captured, executed by American government. Why? Because he denounced the use of the American dollar. He didn't want to use it no more. Saddam Hussein, did y'all know that he was actually in control of Iraq's oil reserve? Yeah, that's the real reason why he was executed. Y'all know that America doesn't like nobody controlling they shit? Yeah, he had to go. Vietnam President Diem and his brother executed for disagreeing with the politics of the United States. Iranian leader Mohammad Mossadegh, I hope that I said his last name correctly. He was overthrown, taken out of power by the American government. Why? Because he nationalized Iran's oil. Guatemalan President Arbenz, removed, taken out of power by the American government. Why? Because he decided to impose taxes on American farms out there.
The United States is a remarkable place in which I was born and lived and worked all my life. Remarkable not in the ways it likes to imagine, but in this way. It practices what psychologists call denial. We've talked about that in the presentations in the past. In the last election, neither Mr. Trump nor Ms. Harris could speak a word about a declining empire. They couldn't speak a word about the losses in these wars and what that means. They couldn't speak a word about the rise of China and the BRICS in terms of what it says about, oh no. All you had was denial. We are the biggest, greatest country in the world, repeated over and over. That kind of repetition usually signals that whoever's doing it knows somewhere that it isn't true, but reassures themselves by saying it over and over. We do have a choice. We can sit down with the emerging Chinese economic powerhouse that has already shown us it can match every American technological breakthrough by a Chinese equivalent. Nobody else can do that. The Europeans can't do it. They're acutely aware that they are unable to do it. The economic powerhouses are the United States and China, and they will either sit down and work out how to share and live in this planet together, or they'll destroy everybody, themselves included. We all know which we hope for. You don't need me to say it. But we don't have that yet. Instead, we have the United States provoking China at every turn, and the Chinese defending themselves, understandably. It's a very old story, the empire that goes down, trying to prevent the others that are emerging. Never works very long. In the end, it's kind of easy to say which way it's going to go. It's already becoming clear now. But that doesn't mean that the declining will understand or face its reality. That may take more disappointments, more lost wars, more economic turmoil at home. Our problem is our capitalist system and the decline of our empire, which interacts with our economic system so that each worsens the other. That's where we are. Very hard place to be. I'm compassionate with my fellow Americans, left-wingers and right-wingers. It's hard to go through the decline of the empire. It was so much more positive when it was rising. But that's no excuse for not doing it. We do have to face the reality. Otherwise, it will keep on crashing down on us in ways that we will be less and less able to shape or to control. And that would mean sitting down with the Chinese and working out a deal. But so far, no, we have our 7th Fleet over there in their ocean. We fight with them over their little territory of Taiwan. We ring them with military alliances and bases. We do to them what they've never done to us. It's extraordinary. But the illusions about it, the make-believe, the ideological theater performed as this new anti-Chinese Cold War becomes our reality because the other one is gone, is faded away. And the delusion is sustained by imagining that what made the Soviet Union disappear was something the West did. It didn't. The Soviet Union didn't collapse because the West invaded it or bombed it or shot at its troops or anything like that. It fell apart of its own internal contradictions and problems that it postponed, kicked down the road, evaded until they came back and were presented as more than you could do. That's typically how societies fall apart in most cases. And why is it important to learn the lesson? Because the question that you all have to ask and answer is whether or not that isn't what's happening in the United States today. The growth period of the United States, the ride up of the empire, was a time when we encouraged and welcomed wave upon wave of immigrants. We understood they brought ingenuity, they brought energy, they brought their youth, they brought their productivity. They literally made America great. Now we can't absorb them anymore, so we demonize them. We turn them from being the agents of success into being the causes of failure. Folks, won't work. Sure, you can deport them, but it's a sign of America's lack of ability to absorb them the way it once did. Think of the irony. Mr. Trump wants to make America great again, to go back to what it was. Yeah, but what it was the welcomer of immigrants. Go take a look at what it says on the Statue of Liberty. It's a sign of decline, as there are so many. The divisions in our society, the hostility, the fact that serious people in other ways would get excited about a government that whacks the 2.5 million federal employees only because it can't get at the 20 million state and local public employees. Has to pretend it's doing everything for efficiency. No, it isn't. The corporate sector's in trouble in America and would like to enjoy tax cuts of the sort Mr. Trump gave them back in 2017. But those are supposed to expire this year, and they would have to because the government's broke. Oh, no, we'll save money by whacking federal employees. What an interesting idea. The people who had the least to do with the difficulties of the American empire are the victims of its decline.
I predict that at the end of this process, of this war, we will be effectively swept out of the region. We will be gone. We will lose any footing that we had in the Middle East and probably in most of the Muslim world. And it won't stop there. If you're sitting in Korea right now and you look at the way things are developing, you ask yourself, well, why do we have these Americans inside our country? We've kept them here, or they've stayed here for 70 years, ostensibly for the purpose of protecting us, but there's no evidence that they can protect anybody in the Gulf or anywhere else in the region from Iran. So why would they be able to protect us from North Korea and China, for that matter, since we insist that we're really there to deter China? But, the Koreans know the Chinese have no interest in war, and they're doing a land office business with South Korea. The Chinese would be very happy if South Korea ultimately absorbed North Korea and then developed Korea in the north to the extent that the South is being developed, and then they would have a tremendous trading partner. Nobody in Northeast Asia is interested in a war with anybody. The Japanese, the Koreans, the Chinese, absolutely off the table. They don't want anything to do with it. So I think right now in Korea, and I would argue also in Japan, behind closed doors, people are saying, gee, how do we get rid of these Americans? They're a liability. They're not an asset, not just in the Middle East, but also there. We're fighting against these things. We think that by bullying and threatening and destroying, that somehow or another we're winning. We're losing. This is not something to win. We're losing our position in the world. We're losing strategically. It's not doing us any good at all. And President Trump can say whatever he likes from the Oval Office. It's not going to change this. And I think Americans, unfortunately, don't understand it. And as these things develop in the aftermath of this catastrophe, we're going to see exactly what I described. The rest of the world is going to say, very politely, we really think you ought to leave.
Yeah. And so
one last comment. This is very important for your audience. In 1919, at the end of the Versailles Conference, a delegation from Syria, remember Syria was this newly formed state that was then supposed to be a protectorate under the French, right? And the delegation from Syria approached us and then ultimately approached the great powers, Wilson, Clemenceau, Lloyd George, and said, would the United States be willing to come and be in charge of our protectorate? We have confidence in the Americans. They will help us build an effective democratic state. Think about that. That was 1919. Can you imagine anyone in the Islamic world today, or for that matter, almost anywhere else in the global South, showing up in Washington and saying, would you consider coming and helping us build this society and build an effective liberal democratic state? I don't think so.
Welcome back from that amazing videos, and I'm very happy that I brought to you some of those videos, like I said. And there's a lot of things for us to take quite note of. The fact that many of the people, the white American you're seeing talking about the fact that America will collapse in so days, or collapse in this or that. You need to understand something, and a lot of them are unhappy with Trump, because Trump, like I said in many of my videos, Trump like doing things as he wills, and that's one thing about Trump, and that's the kind of leader he is. And many people don't like that. And you have to also understand that coming out, or the white American coming out to complain like this, doesn't actually mean that Donald Trump is not doing something. It can be that some of the European leaders are also trying to frustrate his work. You see, yeah, they are trying to frustrate his work. Why? Because they didn't like him in any way. They were fighting him even while he was trying to, run for the office. They did not like him. And like I said, if you see that these guys are coming out to, do all these things, prove that Donald Trump is not worth it. I believe that, of course, the next administration that might likely come, you will know that Donald Trump, that's what always happens to many people when a good leader is leading. I'm not otherwise saying Trump is leading them so well, but of course, why would they be complaining so much? See, so when somebody's leading, all right, tends to complain, right? But when the person that will lead them next becomes worse, they will want the previous person's back. And I guess that's one of the reasons why they were pushed to actually bring Donald Trump into office. See, why? Because they thought he was good. So I think we really need him. And now they brought him back, and they are still complaining because they feel they have not gotten enough of what they want. See, and like I said, the European leaders not liking or supporting America because they didn't like Trump in the first place, because Trump doesn't support their work. Trump doesn't support, some of the things that they stand for. See, like the fact that Trump doesn't support the fact that they want to lock down many nations. Trump doesn't support that, and that's why they try to frustrate every work of Donald Trump. See, so there are a lot of reasons why when you see people who complain like this, you look in depth. You don't just talk. You look in depth. Like a lot of things behind the scene which Donald Trump is trying to cover up, and many people don't really see that. They really feel, oh no, you shouldn't do this. Oh no, you shouldn't do that. I feel that, of course, when somebody else comes to office, they will really know that Donald Trump was actually doing something. He was protecting their lives. You see, was protecting their lives. So a lot of thought towards this, and I'd like to know in the comment section, what is your own idea, or what's your own, thoughts towards these complaints from these white folks uh, concerning their lives and their well-being in America. And for those of you coming new to my channel, hit the subscribe button, subscribe, like to this video, and really, I'll really love to see your comment in the comment section. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.